Entrepreneurship can be really hard. And when you're doing it by yourself, trying to navigate the terrain, it can almost be impossible. That's why we created the Entrepreneur Circle. Every episode, you're going to hear from incredible entrepreneurs who are in the same trenches that you are in. And we're going to talk through what's working, what's not working, whether it be in marketing, finance, or anything in between. We're here to talk business and figure out how each of us can rise together. So welcome to the circle. Let's dig in. All right, we are in the 9th hour, my friends, and we're going to dig into what you've probably been waiting for, is how do we start our own podcast? Before I got into this business, I heard of podcasting and I'm like, oh, well, like starting a podcast, like how do you get those millions of downloads? Like you have to do that for it to be even worth it, right? I'd say that's a myth after really being in this business. Many coaches and business owners believe that success is measured by download numbers and by followers and likes. That's what a lot of us think, right? But even if you have a small engaged audience of your ideal clients, that is 100 times more valuable than having thousands of casual listeners that dabble in and out. The other myth is it's all about audience size. So this is kind of related, right? But chasing those big numbers, it stems from validation, right? We want validation. We want to have that perceived credibility. Here's the thing. YouTube, if you go to YouTube, you can see how many people are watching the video. It shows you how many views there are. It shows you how many likes there are. Podcasts do not. There is actually not a way that I am aware of to be able to go and figure out how many people are watching a specific show on Apple Podcast or on Spotify. Maybe Spotify lists it because Spotify can sometimes list how many downloads. But it's not about audience size. Okay, these things are vanity metrics. Yes, it's good to have a lot of people listening. That's cool. But what I'm trying to say is that the reality of the situation is that the value of you podcasting lies in the one-to-one relationship that you're building with the person in front of you. And it lies in the strong connection with a small group of people who are listening. It's far more valuable. Now, when you look at the marketing funnel, the question becomes, where does this land on the funnel? So at the top of the funnel, you have awareness, right? It's where's the first time somebody's coming in contact with you as an individual or your brand. Then what hooks them? What makes them consider you? How are they listening? Are they sticking around to listen to the whole thing? If they do stick around to listen for the whole thing, what's the action that we're going to take or want them to take? This is where the links come in the description. We want a lead magnet. The lead magnet is in your description. It's in a boilerplate that you put into every single description of the show so that there are strong links for people to follow if they want more from you. And once they are in, if they download a lead magnet, they give you an email address, then how are we building that loyalty? We're building it through engagement. So sending value-packed information, how-tos, what's coming, what's trending. These are the things that make all the difference. And the goal is, once you get to that loyalty phase, if they need support with your services, this is how they will get it. They're able to work with you at that point. Schedule a call, meet in person, something like that. Okay, so let's dig into the really, really good stuff because a lot of people don't share this. They don't share the actual platforms that you should use to get your podcast out. So first question is, how do I even record? I don't have a mic. I don't have lights. If you look at my setup, I have lights. I have a mic. It's because I've been doing this for a long time and that's something you can work toward. But as long as you have a computer, you can start a podcast. Okay. And I think you have a computer because you're watching this. So all you need to do is find the right platforms. And what I would tell you is Riverside.fm is one of the best that I've found for recording. You not only can record a conversation on Riverside, but you can invite guests to record with you, similar to a Zoom call. You can edit directly in the software. It has AI functionalities that makes editing fairly easy. I would say editing with AI, you have to be careful because it'll chop off words and it's not fully there yet. Like you need a human to review it. It does have that functionality. Now, you could also use Zoom. You could totally use Zoom. You could totally use Google Meets if you record it. The only difference and thing that I would caution you to is, sometimes when somebody's internet is not good on a Zoom call and they freeze or they chop out. Well, when you're recording for a podcast, you can't have that. You can't have that. So what's beautiful about Riverside is that it records everything locally to the computer and then it uploads it to Riverside once it's done so that it can keep the conversation smooth even if internet gives out. So you record it on Riverside. Once you have a final product, I would recommend using Podbean. This is what we use. Podbean is a very user-friendly platform, and it's where you upload your video file or your audio file. And Podbean, depending on what type of account you have, it distributes it to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, etc. Now, I will say that there are some other ones. Red Circle is one that we've used as well that works well, but we just have our experience on Podbean, and that's where we have found our comfort, and it's where I recommend our clients go as well. And then when we talk about repurposing, you guys, this is really, it's not one place that you will use to do this. It's a matter of being diligent and knowing what to pull, because you can't just transcribe the whole thing and call that a blog. A strategic blog requires keywords. It requires proper formatting. It requires a flow in how it's written. And the caveat is, sure, in theory, you could give your transcript to ChatGPT and say, Chat, write me a blog. However, from my understanding and my research, writing a blog on ChatGPT and then copy pasting it into your website will hurt your SEO score. It will ding you because Google recognizes when something is written by AI. The whole point of doing this is to help your SEO, help you grow. So don't do something that will sabotage that, right? You need to be strategic in how you're repurposing it. So I will say the blog piece, that's one thing that I would caution you to. The social media piece, Riverside will chop up highlight reels for you. You could use that, easy peasy. You can use that on your Instagram, your TikTok, your shorts, etc. There's your content for the month. You can get as many highlights as you want. Now, again, it's AI, so it's trying to think of what are the biggest, heaviest hitting lines, but it can't read that same emotion as I can or you can, right? And you'll know once you're in there playing with it what I mean by that. But this is the formula, guys. And I think the real value of podcasting, you have to keep it in mind. It's the ability to network on a one-on-one setting with people, probably bigger fish than you would be able to sit down for a meeting just for coffee, right? Because they get something out of it. They get a podcast interview. They get authority, right? And then 2, it positions you as an authority figure because you're the one hosting these valuable discussions. Now, repurposing, we talked about this, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but make sure you optimize your blogs. Make sure you're mindful of how you're writing it, how much you are using AI to help you do it, because there comes a tipping point where if everything you're creating looks like it's made by AI, it turns people off. A lot of people are AI repulsed right now. Like if there's a video that they see that is made by AI, they turn off. And you don't want to cross that bridge because I feel like once you do, it's hard to go back. But if it's tastefully done and you know how to use AI and you have trained your AI chat, which is something that I can help you with if you need support in that. If you trained it so that it knows your voice, it knows your brand, so it's hard to tell that it's written by AI, then go for it. But I think don't just like pull up a brand new fresh chat and drop in a transcript and say, turn this into a blog. Because there's specific formatting things and words and that if somebody who has used AI reads your stuff, they're going to be able to tell. So just be mindful of it. Now, positioning and authority building. How do you figure out what to talk about on your show? This is a fun one. Conceptualizing what your show is even about. Now, the biggest thing I'd say here is that you need to niche down. The only way to stand out in today's content-saturated world is to focus on a subset of people to serve. And when you're thinking about how do I even find my niche, it comes down to this Venn diagram. You want to look at the intersection of your expertise, your passion, and market demand. So, for instance, market demand. Huge demand in AI content right now. It's this like big giant, people are trying to figure out how do we stay ahead of the curve, especially if you're in the businesses of legal, marketing, finance, like how do you move with it so that you don't get steamrolled by AI? That's a huge demand right now. But are you an expert in that? That's a question. I don't know. I don't know if anybody can say that they're an expert in AI because it's changing so frequently, but that's another thing. So if you are an expert, cool. That's a viable piece. The third and arguably most important thing is, are you passionate about it? Because if you're not passionate about what you're talking about, you're going to burn out. It's going to become a chore. And you don't want this to be a chore, because the name of the game if podcasting is consistency. You need to have something that's getting you fired up. So think about this. Think about in relation to what your expertise is. I think maybe start there. What is your expertise and who are you serving? Okay. Then look forward, as you should in all business decisions. Look forward at what is coming into your industry within the next year to 5 years. That probably is something you can speak to, right? And then of course you have to love it. So that cross between those three is what your thesis should be. And it's what will guide your title and the umbrella of your show. Now, once you have that dialed in, you want to think of a title that is potent in keywords. So instead of saying something like business coaching conversations, that is the vanilla of all vanillas. Don't do that. Don't do that. You need to get more granular. Who am I serving? What am I talking about? And what type of person is going to be listening? So scaling service-based businesses, systems and mindsets for 7-figure women entrepreneurs. So who am I serving? Service-based businesses. What am I talking about? Systems and mindset. And who's the audience? 7-figure women entrepreneurs. You want to get so detailed that when somebody searches systems and mindset, you're coming up. Okay, that's the key here. And this is true not only in just podcasting titles, blogging title, it's true in your meta descriptions. There's so much here to unpack, but you have to keep keywords at the forefront. So what we just talked about is the umbrella of what your show is about. But now let's talk about how do you keep the content fresh per show. These are just a few recommendations. You have to stay current. Okay, so I think some of the best shows are the ones that look at what's happening in the industry, what's coming in emerging technologies in your field, and speak to that from your perspective. Are you excited about it? Do you think it's going to help? Is it going to hurt it? What should we be mindful of? What are the pitfalls? Those are the things that will not only perform well because you're forward thinking, but it will perform well because it's positioning you as a thought leader. You're looking ahead and you're making those predictions and just giving your 2 cents on what's coming. There's also an angle that some people like to lean into and some people don't, which is making bold predictions, sharing your vision for where the industry is heading. Now, if you feel like you have a good grasp on it, this is a power move because it's a flex, right? Because if you can really make a projection on where things are going, then you're helping shape where things are going. Let's be real. If you're talking about how something is going to unfold and you have a lot of people hearing that, there's a likelihood that that might manifest, in which case your thought leadership will be validated tremendously. Then there's the other side of it of if you say, the stock market's going to go up next year and it totally nosedives, it could hurt your credibility. So you just have to be mindful, right? Making a bold prediction of where the world is going. I think that's definitely a good idea if you feel really confident in it. But the reality is none of us have a crystal ball and none of us know where it's going. So we have to be cognizant of that and just make sure we're not making too bold of statements that could backfire. And invite discussion. I think sparking conversation and having people comment, having a guest on your show who gives their insights on it as well. This is really showcasing multiple sides of thought, right? That's what we want. We want people to be able to flourish an idea through a podcast and be able to have different perspectives that shape ultimately their opinion, right? That's what you want. So if you can invite discussion, that's another big move as well. All right. So that's about the actual recording and publishing and production of the show. Now I want to turn our attention to business development opportunities, because when we look at strategic guest selection, building the relationship, how do we follow up? This is a very specific formula. Okay. So if you end up having a show and your show is based on like, how do we interview, or who are we interviewing and what are we talking about? If you have people coming on your show, then you have to first be very selective of who to invite. You can create a prompt similar to the one I shared earlier that helps you get the names of 50 people that would be a perfect fit. Perfect fit being somebody who has a shared audience as you. So for example, I'm a marketing agency and I am B2B. So an accounting firm would probably be a good power partner for me. A business lawyer would be a good power partner for me. I want to work with people who are serving that same clientele, but in a completely different and complementary way. Those are power guests. So find those types of people and ask them to be on the show. Before they come on the show, you want to be sending just not like a lot, probably like 2 or 3 emails of here's what to expect, here's what's coming, here's the time, just so they feel good about it. Post-interview is when stuff gets good. Now, let me pause right there. When you're in person with them, do not be all about your business. Get to know them, understand who they are, hang out, because not only will that be conducive to building the relationship, but it's also going to enable you to just like put the barrier down, right? I would say the first 20 minutes of a podcast interview with someone you've never met before is kind of tense because you guys don't know each other, right? Get that out of the way first and then click record. I think that's the caveat here is you want to build the relationship in person. That's the most important part of this whole process, because if you guys don't vibe in the recording session, then it's not going to be effective no matter what you do after the fact. So I would highly recommend take some time, get to know each other, put the walls down, schedule extra time to allow for this, and then start recording. Now, post-interview follow-up, targeted follow-up. You want to create personalized follow-up systems for guests who could become clients or partners. So what we do is write out an email sequence for anyone that goes into our show and books time with us, books time with me to come on my show. They, after the show, will get a series of emails talking about, would you like to be a referral partner? I give $1,000, up to $1,000 referral compensation if you know anybody who wants to start a podcast. If you want to start a podcast, you get a special discount. Okay. This is like a series of 3 emails. And then that's the first email. The second email is, oh, your episode is live. Here's the link. Here's the information. And then the third one is just a reminder, your episode's live. And we also created some social media content for you. Here's that. And then we have a fourth one that's just a reminder of the referral. And then it's a call to action, schedule a call with Paresa to talk through everything together to figure out next steps. That is the pathway. And you want it to be targeted, intentional, and full of value. Okay. And audience conversions. Develop clear pathways from listener to client with strategic call to actions. This is looking at the other side of the coin, not just the person that you're interviewing, but your audience. So your show, every single show should have a boilerplate that you keep in like a Word doc somewhere that has your website, your links to your lead magnet, your links to your book, your link to this, to that, to this, and you're going to copy and paste that and drop that into every single episode that you publish. Number 1, for backlinks. Number 2, so that people know where to click and where to find you. The name of the game is consistency. So you don't want to say, okay, I'm coming out the gate, I'm going to do 2 episodes a week. That's a lot of episodes. I mean, I have clients who are doing that, but that's their main thing. She's got a team running her company and she's just doing the podcast and content creation to build new clients. If you are cool with that, then awesome, do it. But start small and add more instead of doing a lot and then scaling back, because really the algorithms on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, etc., they value a consistent every Friday at 8 a.m. It's a new episode. Over a year, that's when it starts showing up in search rankings organically. So stay consistent. Okay, my friends, I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much. Here is our information. The first QR code at the top is a bunch of free marketing resources for you. Gotta have it. It's my lead magnet, but it's also value packed. We have the media kit that we ran through together, but also a personal branding guide, more stuff on how to build your authority with authority marketing, and even our book outline that a lot of our authors have used to hit the international bestsellers list. So that's all at the first QR code. And then I also set my QR code at the bottom of the page for you to schedule some time to chat if you're really thinking about starting your show. So I appreciate y'all. Check out my podcast, Entrepreneur Circle. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. I'd love for you guys to have a listen. I'm always looking for new guests. If you're interested in having your own very first interview and really digging into this, then come connect with me. You can email me personally at my email. I've also put my Instagram there. If you guys want to sync up, talk through having you on the show, we could do that as well. I appreciate y'all. Take care and happy podcasting. Remember this as you go about your day today. The ideas that are on your heart for a reason. Do not ignore them. Tune into them. Tap in, lean in, understand them, and pursue them. If not you, then who? If this episode was helpful to you in any way, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It does wonders for our efforts, and it helps us to continue our mission of inspiring entrepreneurs and giving them the resources and the perspective we all need to take it to the next level. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Paresa Noble, and we'll catch you next time.